The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
To make sure everybody understands the difference between a conspiracy theory and fact, and the conspiracy theory is people meet in star chambers. I know. And they get together at night and they plot what's happening. I know. Is there any proof of this? No, but I've heard X, Y, or Z. Or I know these things are happening because they want everyone to die. All right. Is there any proof of that? Well, yes. There's this guy who lives in the middle of the desert, and he hasn't had a glass of water in about 4 years. So he's a lot of people will say he's nuts, but he has this theory. Okay. That would be the kind of conspiracy theorist. For instance, another one. The government took down the World Trade Centers. Why would you say that? Because steel doesn't melt.
That was my favorite one.
I know, mine too. How do they make the steel? What are they pouring out of those big, huge buckets? Steel. I thought you said steel doesn't melt. Okay. That's a conspiracy theory. Now, what's a fact? A fact is, I have this document. Here is the document. Look at it yourself. Call. Verify with these people who are in that agency if this is the document. Not, here is the document, and I think this photocopy of the document that I nor anyone else who is proposing this theory have ever had the original document in their hand. I believe it's been doctored. Well, okay. It could be. It could have been doctored by 100 people because you've never had your hands on the original document. Nor do you have a source who is in charge of that document that's credible. One of those is fact. One of those is theory. For instance, communists in the White House. All right. It was a theory if I said there's communists in the White House. But if I said, and Van Jones is that communist, and here's why, because he has said this, this, and this, he started this Marxist organization, he was a member of STORM, a revolutionary Marxist operation, a founding member. He has been talking about Marxism. He has written about Marxism. And now he said he found green through red. And now he's the green job czar. That's not a theory. The theory was, I think there's communists in the White House, and it might be this guy. The fact is the paper trail. You don't have to connect any dots. That's just what it is. A fact is Benghazi. Where was the evidence? The conspiracy theory on Benghazi is that this was just a group of people that saw a video that had what? A couple hundred hits worldwide on it before Benghazi?
Yeah, it was nothing.
Yeah, I think it was like a couple of hundred hits. So that this enraged people so much throughout the Middle East that they had to go kill our ambassador, who strangely was there and shouldn't have been there on 9/11. How? What? At a CIA safe house? What? That doesn't make sense. That's the conspiracy theory. The facts come in September 11th. Pre-warnings. Too well equipped. No firepower back. How? Because we don't have a military that can get to Benghazi Libya? Really? Don't we usually have ships right off the coast? Don't we have something right across the water in Spain? Do we have another one right across the water over in Italy?
Italy?
I mean, hello? What are you talking about? Those are the facts. Facts with the Saudis. We know that our government spirited people away on planes when nobody else in America could fly. Now, we didn't know that during the Bush administration until the last part of it, when they finally admitted it. It was a theory, but then it was made fact. Now, this time with the Boston bomber, we have a guy with the First Lady having her picture taken with him. We have his sheet given to us from inside sources, making him a 2123B. We say, why, hold on just a second. Why are you letting this guy go? Why is he not even a suspect? You have all of the police spending hours and hours, 6 hours at his house, removing things from his house, building a case, spending 4 or 6 hours with his roommates, questioning him, and then all of a sudden, that sheet disappears. All of the members of the media, we have given them to several media organizations. We know, because we know those media organizations, that 2 of those media organizations had their reporters at the highest level also start to file the same exact story, and for some unexplained reason, they were spiked. Now, it's not a theory when you have the paperwork. It's not a theory. It's a fact. The caliphate, that was a conspiracy theory. No, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a fact. Okay, so what do these all have in common?
That they want it.
Yeah, it's a fact that they want
They're
it.
trying to build it.
The fact that they declared it.
That we've intercepted multiple communications, that they've outlined that to each other.
They've written about it. There are conventions here in America on a caliphate done by the same people who are organizing over in Egypt. I mean, those are all facts. So what do these have all in common? Well, you have communists, radicals, revolutionaries, and Muslim Brotherhood. The communists in the White House, the Benghazi, the Saudis, the Caliphate, all conspiracy theories. That's what I've been nailed to, conspiracy theory. Now, this is the part that we go from fact to theory. But all of those, the radical revolutionaries here in America, and then the Muslim Brotherhood. Notice, not Al-Qaeda, the Muslim Brotherhood. Well, what is the Muslim Brotherhood? The Muslim Brotherhood is now the Peace and Justice Party. They're no longer the Muslim Brotherhood. They're the Peace and Justice Party. Sound familiar? Sounds almost like what the communist radicals have become here. Why? Because Al-Qaeda, the enemy of Saudi Arabia and ours, Al-Qaeda is more of the weather underground. We're going to take it. We're going to be violent, and we'll start a revolution. Where the Muslim Brotherhood is more like Acorn and more like our labor unions, where we're going to just do this covertly, and we'll just pass it through in litigation. We'll just get all of our people into the government, and then before you know it, we'll fundamentally transform our state. Well, we've said no to the Muslim Brotherhood. We've said no to Al-Qaeda, but we've strangely said yes to Bill Ayers when he changed his way from bombing to become much more like Acorn. Get inside the educational system and change it from the inside. And the labor unions. Isn't it strange that our labor unions, we're helping them on the ground in Egypt? And their labor unions that started the unrest and the revolution over there were the Muslim Brotherhood labor unions. Our labor unions helped the Muslim Brotherhood labor unions. And then when we had our labor unions act up in Wisconsin, the Muslim Brotherhood labor unions came over here and helped us. You see, I have made it a point to say 9/11, the government didn't do 9/11. I've made a point to say the birth certificate is real. I've made a point to say FEMA camps are fake. I have made a point of saying Oswald killed Kennedy. I have made a point of saying we did go to the moon. I have made a point of saying the Council of Foreign Relations isn't a conspiracy. It's posted in it's clear what they are. They say what they are. They're a group of elites that get together and try to teach the media what to teach to the American people as the answer. They make the decisions and they teach it to the media so they can spoon feed it to the American people. There's no closed door star chamber meetings there. It's all open. You want to know what it is? That's what it is. And it's in their founding documents. That's what they declare that. It's not a conspiracy. So why would I be lumped in with the birth certificate and 9/11 truther crowd? Because if you know anything about disinformation, if you know how governments discredit other governments and discredit movements, they always say conspiracy theory. It's the first thing you go to, because people don't want to be involved with conspiracy theories in any language, in any country. They just don't want to be involved in it. And so you label people conspiracy theorists. It's fascinating to me how the media will jump on, well, for instance, yesterday I believe they were talking about the IRS scandal. Again, that wasn't a conspiracy theory. That wasn't a conspiracy theory. That was me holding up the documents to television saying this a year and a half ago, this is what the 9/12 projects are getting. This isn't even legal. How's that a conspiracy theory? That's a fact. That's a fact. Who was doing it? The IRS. Who's in charge of the IRS? The left. This is their MO. The left and the Muslim Brotherhood, you will be labeled a conspiracy theorist to shut you down. Don't just laugh those things off. I don't know why the mainstream media, I think there's a lot of people, for instance, on the IRS scandal, they just didn't want to believe that. They've made their mind up on who the Tea Party is. And so they dismiss them. Oh, they're just a bunch of crazy people and not even listening to them. And so they won't even listen to them enough to see if what they're saying is true. And that's really sad, but it's dangerous because let's say the next administration comes in and they're worse and things are worse. You start blaming things on people, and if somebody is starting to be rounded up, let's say Muslims are starting to be rounded up. Let's use a real example so it's not a conspiracy theory. Let's say you get a really bad, progressive, right or left, progressive government in, progressive president, and, we go to war with, who are we not going to go to war with? Japan. And so this progressive president says, I got to keep them safe and I got to keep you safe. And they just start rounding Americans up of Japanese descent, put them behind barbed wire in American concentration camps. Of course, you wouldn't call them concentration camps. You could call them relocation centers. They're just in relocation centers. If the truth doesn't matter to you, you can either just dismiss it because you don't really know those people, or if you've already made up your mind about those people, well, those people are probably trouble anyway. They probably are trying to destroy us anyway. Then the government can do horrible, horrible things. It's happened before, and it's happened with executive orders, and it's happened with the press really actually reporting on how great it is. The press has a responsibility to learn from history, and this most recent history. Just because you don't like people or you disagree with them, doesn't mean you should dismiss them. If somebody is abusing power, even if you don't like them, and maybe even especially if you don't like them, you have to stand up for them. Because that's what a person of character does.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.